Hello and welcome to Martin Morocco Classic Car Restoration, where we're going to show you the real world of classic vehicle renovation.
In today's episode, we make some brilliant progress with the W123 and introduce a black 280 Coupe and a beautiful Rolls-Royce Shadow 2.
Okay, so we're going to paint the Mercedes now. It's all been panel white, spirit white. We've degreased the car several times now, so we're just going to use this sticky rag, tack rag, and we're going to completely wipe the car over. I hope you can hear me over the noise of the fan. And what this process does is remove every little bit of dust from the car, because even when you think the car is dust free and you've wiped it and wiped it and wiped it, you go over it with this little thing here, this sticky cloth, this tack rag, and that's what you get. It's still dusty and you can't help that. Here we are with the Mercedes. Paint is on, it's still wet actually, but it's gone on very, very well. And this is going to make a nice car. Very nice car, lovely colour. Now it's fresh paint, you can see the depth in this colour. It really pops. We'll just have a look around there. All the door shuts are lovely and clean. Lovely paint around there, nice finish. Makes all the difference. If you're going to do a repaint, take the doors off, makes all the difference. I mean, the devil is in the detail on these repaints. So tomorrow, or possibly the day after, if it's hard enough, this car can be flattered and machine polished and it will look absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so we've painted the car. We're now going to flat this paint with a 1500 grade wet and dry disc, which we use a machine for these days. Well, for most of it we do. And then we'll machine polish that up, and we should get pretty much a factory finish on there. We use water for lubrication. Now when we do this, we use a special pad for this, a special sponge pad underneath the disc, so it makes it nice and flexible. And that helps to avoid rubbing through on the edges. You still got to be careful, but it does help. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but that's really flat now. That's really nice. There are one or two little marks, but we'll just go over those by hand. It won't take very long to do that. We'll go over those bits when we've finished. and that gives us a really nice base to machine polish. You could just machine polish the spray gun finish if you wish, but if you want a really nice paint finish, this is the way to do that. And most professional restorers do it this way. So, pardon me. So it's all flattered off.
Yeah.
So we've got it flattered off, and next thing we're going to use this buffing machine here to polish that up. It's sponge. It's not just a piece of sponge. It's got a profile to it. It's a particular grade of sponge. It's purpose made for this job.
Yeah.
Don't ask me in what way it's different, but it is. You know,
It's like that for a reason.
yeah, it's like that for a
Yeah.
reason. And if you
So
put
we
an
need to-
ordinary piece of sponging off your settee cushion, you just burn through the paint. It's, you know, there's more to it than
They might be for air pockets, you never know.
Yeah, they might be.
Keep it a bit cool.
They might be. Well, to keep it cool with sheet there, because as we're polishing it, we spray water on it,
Oh, yeah.
and we cool it off like that. We stop it burning. So that's what we do. And we use 2 grades of compound, sometimes 3. We get away with 2 on this one. So we've got the first grade. This is a fairly coarse compound. Then you use a fine compound after that just makes it glow. So this process transforms what isn't a bad finish, to be fair, into what you can achieve a show finish like this. So that's that, and we use the big polishing machine on all the large areas, and the nooks and crannies. We use this real nifty little buffing machine there that's battery powered, and we're getting all the nooks and crannies, and these are just amazing. And then there's always the odd little bit that you've got to use old-fashioned elbow grease. You can't get machining.
Yeah.
This is the main shell of the car painted now, so looks good. It's all been machine polished, it's all been wax polished. A lot of work to do yet, obviously. Everything's got to go back on it. And also all the exterior panels still need to be painted and fitted. But you get a general idea. So this car can go out now when we get another one in here. We've got some paint work to do. So it's the steady process of building the whole thing up now, which takes a surprisingly long time. You think, oh, just bolt the bits on and it's done. It takes forever. But, you know, it's a big lump done. It's a big lump of the job done. So next stage is to get this out, get this car out of here. We'll have a big clean up, big tidy up, and then we've got something else we need to get in to do some paint work. And then after that, all the panels will be prepped for this, and they'll all be painted off the car. They're all hung on panel stands, they're all painted off the car. And by doing it that way, by painting the panels separately, it means we could get all these areas there nicely done. Whereas if the panel was on, they wouldn't come up the way that they have, because you can't get to them. We won't be paying too much attention to the interior of this one. We'll clean it obviously, but it is going from here, I believe it's going from here for a retrim in its proper. It should be blue velour, this car, and I think that's what he's having done.
Yeah, it's just like black. It's not.
This is black MB Tex, and it was Mercedes' answer to plastic trim, but it's actually quite well thought of, and it's well sought after because it lasts a long time. If that was leather, it's an imitation leather, and if it was real leather, that would crack and it would split at this kind of mileage. I mean, this car's done getting on to 200,000 miles, I believe, so 180 something.
Leather that just lasts longer but isn't quite as soft. And got
This is plastic basically, but it is hard wearing. A lot of the taxis have this. It is hard wearing, and it's called MB Tex. And people who buy these, they do search out MB Tex. I've never liked it much myself, but I'd rather have cloth or leather. But it's quite rare. People do search it out. This is a 1984 Mercedes-Benz 280CE, which we converted to V8 power several years ago, and it's coming for a bit of a facelift. So we're going to turn this car into an AMG replica. Basically, we're going to do everything as closely as we can to original AMG spec. Not many of those were built. I mean, basically, this engine, it started life in a 500 SEC, and we shoehorned it into there. We built about 10 cars like this, and this is one of the first ones we did. This one's done 11,000 miles on this engine, so it still runs really well. That engine's coming out, and we're going to put in a tricked out 5.6 litre into there, so quite a transformation. This is the interior, and nothing wrong with it, but it's standard 1984 Mercedes. We're going to upgrade this, and we're going to upgrade it to a red leather interior, new design completely. We're going to redesign the seats, well, redesign pretty much everything. So that's just another thing that's going to transform this car, and make it sort of both period and brought into the 21st century, really. So it'll be an interesting car when it's done.
One of a kind.
Exactly, one of a kind. Yeah, there will not be another car like this. Latest project in the workshop, this Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow 2, 66,000 miles. Man's owned it for a long time. It's been stood for a while, and it's got one or two issues, mainly through standing. So we're going to recommission this. We'll just have a bit of a walk round. Quite a rare colour, more than the green. I'm not sure what the lighter colour is. That's been added later. But we've got a bit of rust poking through there, look. We've got some quite serious rust poking through there.
Oh yeah.
And we've got some odd bits at the bottom there. All the usual places where these go.
Just about to say that. The points where...
Yeah, they're all the same. Good looking car though. Yeah. 66,000 miles, so it's relatively nice inside. Basically, yeah, I mean, basically our instructions are do what needs doing. Just work through it front to back, top to bottom, which is the usual thing with these. You know, people love these. You either get the whole concept of these, or you don't, and if you do, you fall in love with them. Now, I've got 2 of these, and they're just 3, and they're just incredible. So we will possibly do the leather. We'll spruce the leather up. We may do the wood. We'll see. The biggest problem with this is the man suspects there may be some head gasket problems. It blew its water pump some time ago when it was last on the road, and it got a bit hot, and there's sometimes a bit of smoke. So I think we're going to take the cylinder heads off this one, and we'll detail the engine while we're at it. We'll have a little look what's going on here. Yeah, so here we are, 6.75 litre V8. It looks awful to dismantle. They're actually quite straightforward. You just got to know know what you're doing, because there are some peculiar quirks to them. But I think we'll take everything off the top of the Angel. We'll just leave a bare block in there, and we'll just overhaul everything. I think we'll do some detailing under there as well. So that's what we're going to do with this. Lovely old car.
You can feel the heat off that.
Yeah. Lovely old car.
I noticed that it's got these big rubber bits on the end instead of...
Yeah, that's because this is a Shadow 2. Both mine are Shadow 1s, and they've got the chrome bumpers.
Yeah.
The Shadow 2 had these impact absorbing bumpers, and I can't quite remember. I think it was probably a US spec thing to satisfy the US rules at the time. So these have got the impact absorbing bumpers. They have a front spoiler as well.
Look at them little fellas.
Yeah.
Little
Headlamp wipers.
yeah.
Yeah, they have the headlamp wipers. This also has rack and pinion steering, whereas they have a steering box, and it's supposedly the more direct. There isn't a lot of difference, I'll be honest, there isn't. But they just brought it up, you know, they modernised it. But shortly after they modernised it into the Shadow 2, they brought the Spirit out, the Silver Spirit out. So these were a kind of an interim model, really. We'll have to take this a run to see what's the matter with it. Okay, so we're just out in this Rolls-Royce Shadow 2. We're just going to assess its general condition. It's been stood for a while. We've already got two warning lights on the dash. We've got brake pressure 2, which is the one of the accumulators, which is not working. We've got a brake fluid light on, so it's obviously a touch low. I have checked the level, and it's pretty much up to level, but they don't have to be down very far for that to come on. The exhaust is blowing quite badly. Yeah, the brakes need a bit of attention. It's only running on LPG at the moment. The fuel pumps are not working, so it took it a bit of starting, but it did start, and it's actually running on gas at the moment. There isn't a lot of gas in it, so we won't be going very far. Yeah, you can see the wheel wobble's quite bad. Let's get on a bit of straight road. We're only doing 25 miles an hour, and it's pulling to the left, so we've got some issues there. They aren't good on gas. The power goes right down on gas, these, and it's probably an old gas conversion, to be fair.
Yeah.
The thing I find on all Rolls-Royces that really annoys me is the leather creaks.
Yeah.
And that's why they started using a fabric interior, actually, to stop that. And I forgot what it's called now. Parketex. It's called Parketex. It's velour,
Yeah.
really. So apart from the creaky leather, what do you think to the experience?
It is the ride itself. It's very similar to the Red Caddy.
Very similar.
However, it's got a very different feel to it. The whole experience. This is more refined, and
yeah,
I like it. It's classy. I don't know. There's something about it.
You're insulated from the outside world, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, this one's a bit noisy because the exhaust blowing its head off. Normally, you don't hear much of this kind of speed. Apart from the leather.
It's just nice to sit in and just, as you say,
it's a very nice
float down the road, isn't it? Glide down the road.
To be. It's a very nice place to be.
So we've just been for the drive in this new Rolls-Royce that we've got.
Yeah.
What stands out to you? What do you think work needs to be done?
Okay, well, the work that needs to be done is typical of a lot of older Rolls-Royces. There's a lot of wheel wobble. These tyres are old. They're also the wrong tyres. You know, these are a cheaper tyre, and they should be on Avons, which are very expensive, but the car is designed to run on Avons. So that's the first thing. I can smell a whiff of oil. and I bet you that is coming from the valve covers, the rocker covers. And what happens on these, they're cast alloy rocker covers, and they warp. So people think it's just a gasket to replace. It isn't. You have to take the rocker covers off, and you have to have them milled flat. We need to take it for a longer drive. There isn't a lot of LPG in this, so I didn't want to risk it, because if it did run out of LPG, we can't change over to petrol because the fuel pumps are not working. Another common problem when these are stood, the fuel pumps need reconditioning. So I think what we'll do, we'll recondition the fuel pumps first, then we can take it a good drive. And there's a there's a way we can check that the valve stem seals are not hard and leaking oil. There's a way you can drive the car to make it smoke if that's the issue, but we aren't going to do that today. So we'll do that. And it's only done 66,000 miles, this car, so the valve stem seals could well be hard and brittle, and there could be some oil seeping past those, and you tend to get that on the overrun. And when you start it first thing in the morning, when you leave the car overnight after a run, the oil seeps past the valve stem seals and collects in the bores. So when you start it in the morning, the smoke comes out the back. But this didn't do that. Having said that, it took some starting because it's on LPG. So we need to get the fuel pumps working, then we'll reassess it. Other than that, the front suspension bushes need attention. Another common problem. It's no big deal, that really. The exhaust blowing its head off, which is either the front pipe has rusted through with it standing, or what I suspect it might be is another very common issue. The exhaust manifold may be cracked. Very, very common. So it may need an exhaust manifold on it. Done loads of those. Another thing that seems to happen when they've been stood. So other than that, it's mainly cosmetic. The car needs a good service. It needs a good service. What we do need to investigate is the brake pressure 2 warning light, which I believe is it's one of the accumulators. I think it's a front one, but I think it's the front one. So the best thing to do on this car, we'll check the pressures, but I think it'll need an accumulator. And if you're going to change one, change them both. Well, that's quite expensive to change that. And we'll change all the fluid, special brake fluid in this car. It's not ordinary .4, it's special fluid. So we'll do all that, and we'll bleed the system, we'll bleed the self-leveling on the back, and that makes all the difference to these. It needs that at least. It's not had the best paint job before either. Can you see how there are marks underneath the lacquer? And also I can tell you that it's micro blistering everywhere. So, but I don't think it'll be having a repaint just yet, because it's a lot of money.
All them little bubbles.
Yeah, it's micro blistering. So when this car was painted before, they got moisture in there. They hadn't got adequate drying for the air. So plan A then is overhaul the fuel pump. So at least we can. I mean, that's got to be done. So we'll do that before we do anything else. Well, that's it for this time. Join us again soon for more workshop tips, tricks and updates.